The sordid, complicated tale behind Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. You see, once upon a time there was a baseball man named Kurt Schilling, and he woke up and decided that he wanted to make himself a Skyrim. So, he gathered up a group of executives and talented artists, including the Spawn guy, and opened up his own game studio. But they needed money to make those video games happen, so they went to the state of Rhode Island and got a $75 million loan. And then somehow, they blew it all. The studio went bankrupt, Schilling got the crap suit out of him, and despite selling reasonably well, the intellectual property of Kingdoms of Amalur wound up in corporate limbo. That is until THQ Nordic, whose business motto is "One studio's trash is our treasure," snatched up the rights and recently remastered the game as Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. So, was this game worth all the legal troubles, lost money, and ruined lives? No. I'm Jamie Latour from The Gamer, and this is our re-review of Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning is a massive open-world RPG, but instead of playing like your Skyrims or your Dragon Ages, it takes its inspiration from games like God of War. So that means you get all the fun of putting points into different stats along with the joy of stabbing something directly in the face. You have a lot of tools at your disposal in Amalur. There are 9 different weapon types, including greatswords, longbows, daggers, blades, magical staffs, and scepters, and my personal favorite, the chakrams. Then you have your passive skills like brewing potions, blacksmithing, and convincing people to give you all of their stuff. As if that wasn't enough, you then have your combat skill trees, which are broken up into 3 categories: might, sorcery, and finesse, which are just gussied up terms for strength, magic, and agility. The great thing about Kingdoms of Amalur is that you can play the game however you want. Want to stab things, fire arrows, and pick locks? Put all your points into finesse. Want to try a little bit of everything? Be a jack of all trades. No matter what you do, it's a viable way to play. Unless you do stealth, because stealth sucks in this game. The world of Amalur is massive, with a huge map to explore, and you won't have to worry about running out of things to do since there's about 100 hours worth of quests to complete. That's a lot of content. Too bad most of it sucks. You play as the Fateless One, a former corpse whose soul was forcibly stuffed back into their body thanks to a magical contraption called the Well of Souls. As a result, you are no longer bound to the laws of fate, which means you can run around doing whatever the hell you want. But much like a crusty old dean, an evil army called the Tuatha just can't handle your newfound free spirit. So they begin a campaign to kill you, destroy the Well of Souls, ransack the surrounding cities, and generally be a nuisance. Since you've got nothing better to do, you set out to stop them by shoving sharp objects into their squishy bits. This story sucks. The fantasy world of Amalur is about as generic as it could possibly get. Every NPC lacks a personality. They're just there to spew endless amounts of lore and exposition. Before you even say hello, they're just shouting names of things at you.
He always spoke of his time as a wastrel living in the abandoned halls of Agnor Farhall, the Arathi ruin.
I know nothing of why the Tuatha are at war with the Alfar.
Our farmhand, Cartery Jake, stumbled into Canarok a few days later.
Lord Ferrara, valiant warrior, destroyer of Enfaminir, Duke of the Hylarans, protector of the Ring of Kiozai, discoverer of the island of Meropis.
I am Lord Jonathan Flimflam of the Ping Pong Valley. My daughter Spatula has been kidnapped by the ruthless Fraggle Rock Army. You must rescue her from the castle high atop the Dippin' Dots Mountain. In exchange, I will bequeath you my flaming, burning sword of... This blandness bleeds into the side quests since most of them lack a compelling narrative, so instead they feel like a series of repetitive objectives. Fight a certain amount of monsters. Rescue someone by fighting a certain amount of monsters. Find some plants. Find some items.
Wash the dishes, do the mopping.
It just never becomes interesting, and I found myself skipping through most of the dialogue because none of it mattered. It doesn't help that to get to most of these quests you have to hoof it across that aforementioned huge map. There is a fast travel system that works pretty well, but you need to visit locations before you can teleport to them. So it leads to a lot of aimless wandering through these vast empty spaces with little to do, like you're some kind of fantasy Forrest Gump. This remaster looks pretty good considering it is an 8-year-old game, although it initially ran terribly. The frame rate chugged and stuttered, and on more than one occasion it crashed so hard that I thought my computer had caught on fire. But once I put it into borderless window mode, the frame rate went to a smooth 60 FPS and it looked way better. It still stuttered and crashed, but not as much. So that's good. The world of Amalur isn't that enthralling, but the gameplay and combat is solid enough to bring the entertainment. It's not quite as tight as, say, something from Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, but it's still a lot of fun. If you stick to the main quest and only do a few side missions here and there that aren't pointless fetch quests, then you can actually get a lot of mileage out of this game. Just make sure you got your finger on that dialogue skipping button because you're gonna need it. That's why we give Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning 3.5 nodding Gandalfs out of 5. Thanks for watching. Hey, you like reading things, don't you? Well, check out our website over at thegamer.com. We've got all kinds of news and articles, so why don't you come on by and give those eyeballs a workout.